Join me as we talk all things true crime.
Made contact and shattered.
Liberty, a missing 4-year-old. The parents have called in and loved that the mother had went for a walk, came home, now they can't find her, they've been yelling for her.
Turn it over to another agency. Let's get some help.
Where are your kids? They've been missing for 4 months. You have nothing to say? You're over here in Hawaii? Dad, where are Lori's kids?
4 were stabbed multiple times and were likely asleep during the attack. Some had defensive wounds.
Most of them had just like one that was the lethal stab wound.
Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Let me know if you can hear me as we are live, and I just want to make sure that the audio is working before I proceed and we go through the Stephen Smith case. This is going to be a beginning of a deep dive, as this case is very confusing, and there's lots of layers and there's lots of rumors. So I just really want to do this case justice and really get the facts out there. Okay, thank you, Florida Bass Fishing, and happy belated birthday to you. And hello to all my moderators, especially Evil CJ Podcast. If anyone hasn't checked him out, you definitely should. He's always here supporting, and I just really appreciate him, as well as my other mods too. But thank you so much for being here, guys. So I just wanted to give a shout out also to some of the channels that have been covering the Stephen Smith case very, very well. Like I said, I've been digging into it. So we're going to start my little deep dive that I've put together. I have notes and all that. So it's just going to be set up like we usually do our deep dives. So we'll start with some clips and all that. And then we're going to, just discuss stuff. But Decipher Podcast, JLR Investigates has been on the scene that Stephen Smith died at, as well as the interview room. Chris McDonough has been there. They give good perspective of like what the country road looks like, where exactly he was found. So if you want to see something that's just visually there, I would recommend checking those out, as well as Court TV, of course. We love Vinny Politan, and he was at the scene as well. So those channels have definitely helped me kind of accumulate information, and I definitely recommend everyone checking that stuff out. Gives good perspective, and yeah, I just want to get some answers in this case, so we're just going to get right into it. So thanks everyone for being here. If you haven't hit like, please hit the thumbs up. Lisa Wilson, thank you for becoming a member again. I really appreciate you. And hello, Mel Mack, and everyone else who's here. Karen, I want to thank you for being a moderator and helping me out with the Murdaugh case and Stephen Smith case. I didn't jump into any of this stuff until Karen really insisted that it was something that I should look into, and she was right. It's a rabbit hole that I'm having a hard time getting out of. I do want to cover Idaho 4 still, and we are going to cover Lori Vallow once the trial starts in April. So just to lay that stuff out there and get that stuff out of the way, and we'll get right into it. So thanks so much, everybody. Lots of rumors surrounding the Stephen Smith case. What we do know is this: 15 days after Paul and Maggie Murdaugh were murdered, they reopened the investigation into Stephen Smith's death.
Oh no, hell no.
So 15 days, like I just stated, after the murders of Paul and Maggie, SLED reopened Stephen's case. And in numerous reports, they said that it was based on evidence gathered from Paul and Maggie's death investigation. So as they're investigating the homicide, something tipped them off in a way that they were, able to reopen the case pretty much. So it must have been significant evidence. I am hearing, and hello, Mia Moore, Michelle, I'm hearing, I don't know what you guys are hearing as well, but it seems like SLED is trying to walk it back. Like they didn't find anything that reopened it. I don't know. What do you guys know about that rumor? I'm still under the impression that something was found, because why else would they have reopened it, They claim that it was based on information that they had gathered during the investigation into Paul and Maggie's homicide. We know that Buster has never been interviewed by the police, not yet at least. Buster has come out publicly about a week ago, unequivocally denying any connection to Stephen Smith's death, and says that they are just baseless rumors. SLED has come out and said that they didn't need to exhume Stephen Smith's body to say that it was a homicide. The family lawyer came out and said this on Cuomo.
The situation that Buster found himself in was the longer he stayed quiet, the more this story got legs. And he struggled over time as to whether coming out and denying the obvious that he had no involvement in Stephen Smith's death would just give oxygen to the flames of the story.
The homicide investigation into Stephen Smith's 2015 death receiving fresh law enforcement resources and bringing renewed hope to his family.
I've been wanting this for the last 8 years, and now it's happening.
The South Carolina Law Enforcement Division says progress has been made. The chief assigning additional agents to work this case in the hopes that those who may know what happened to Mr. Smith are more willing to speak freely now than they may have been in 2015 or 2021.
So this is a more recent news update on the case. And I just find it very interesting how SLED ends this little statement with, maybe people are more willing to speak freely now than they would have been in 2015. And obviously that's when the murder happened. And then it goes on to say, or 2021. So, as everyone knows, the trial for the Murdaugh family is over and done with. So the fact that they're saying, maybe now past 2021, they'll want to speak up, and what does that mean? 2021, Alex Murdaugh was put in jail, not even charged yet for the homicides of Paul and Maggie. He was simply placed in jail for the financial crimes that he had, that we're uncovering. So for some reason, they're feeling like the year that Alex is put away, they're hoping that people are more willing to come forward. So why is that correlated? You know what I mean? What is the deal with 2021 being the year that they're saying, like, maybe now they'll be able to speak out more freely? It's just a strange correlation with the Murdaugh family. And I want to make it clear that we are not accusing anybody of anything. We're just digging through police stuff and statements that have been out there and rumors that are out there. And we're trying to iron out the facts and all this. I believe that there is possibilities of other perpetrators than the Murdaughs. I just want to lay that out there. I think that we can't just get focused in on one thing. But obviously it's on the radar for anyone looking into this case. So everyone is innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. We believe that here, but we cannot deny that there hasn't been hearsay and police statements, people speaking to police in their statements about the Murdaugh family. So, we have to just take it how it is, but also I want to remain open-minded for Stephen's case. I don't want to get narrow-minded and just honed in on the Murdaughs. So I want to lay that out there. I hope you guys understand that. I'm not saying that I'm not going to look into that stuff. We are obviously going to dig into it in this live stream and whatever else comes our way, right? So thanks again for being here, guys. And hello, Allegedly with Brittany J. Good morning, ATS News. So glad you are covering this. Yes, and thank you for covering it as well. I know that I've popped in your stream and Jen Lou's. And Jen Lou runs the Ward Studies channel, and she's been digging into the Stephen Smith case so long, like way before mainstream media even started covering it. So I think you guys should check out those channels as well and get your notepad ready, because this one is definitely a doozy. So why exactly are they saying people might be more willing to speak out than they were in 2015 or even 2021, do you guys think? Comment down below for those on replay, and just let me know why they've correlated those dates and years. Eric Bland has decided to step up and be the legal counsel for Stephen Smith's family and is helping out Stephen Smith's mother in the legal process.
What we're going to do is start over. We're going to hire experts who are going to come into this case with a fresh set of eyes, with an open mind, without any preconceived conclusions, being objective and wherever the facts go, that's where the investigation will go.
And I just seen a comment in chat. Janet says, get the 110 pages of reports from Fit News. I've got them. I've got the autopsy and the police notes, at least everything that they've been able to give the public. I've been skimming through them. We will reference a little bit of some of it here in this live stream. I've also passed those notes on to Duty Ron so that he can look at it with his expert eyes, as well as, you know, his partner, Ed Wallace, and their resources that they have to kind of look it over. And Barbara Butcher, the chief medical examiner that they have connections with, you know. So we as a community are definitely going to look into the Stephen Smith case with fresh eyes. And it's good that, you know, most of us haven't really been following this since, like, because I know that some people have been following this for years. So we're able to come in and look at this stuff without everything that the media has been telling us, because even Netflix goes down the avenue of the Murdaughs being involved in Stephen Smith. So it's just out there. It's definitely a theory that is out there. Let's try to go back to that day and figure out exactly what happened to Stephen Smith.
It's July 8th, 2015. A driver on his way to work calls 911 to report a body lying in the middle of the street.
So these are obviously death scene photos. These aren't all of them that I have. Some of them I just couldn't show. I just didn't want to. But these have also been passed on to Duty Ron and all them to kind of look at and give their expert opinion. Eventually, I know that they did a live stream on exhuming the body and what that will entail, but I know that they are planning to go deeper into covering that case too. So the first thing kind of stands out to me, and again, I don't know exactly what Stephen Smith's extracurricular activities were as far as being outdoors and stuff, but like his bottom of his shoes are very muddy for me. You know, I see this type of mud and dirt on the bottom of people's shoes when I know, you know, when you've been hiking or you go out back for like a cigarette or something and there's mud or whatever and you got to walk through and it's raining. You know, I just feel like the thickness of the mud on the bottom of these shoes are real. What do you guys think? Like, I don't know. I just feel like it's super muddy there. Yeah, I hope the DNA has been well preserved as well. And hello, Jesse and Alice and Faye. Thank you for being here. So yeah, what do you guys think? Is this a lot of mud on the bottom of his shoes? I wish we knew what kind of, like, did he like hiking, etc. But these aren't hiking shoes, you know?
On his way to work calls 911 to report a body lying in the middle of the street on Sandy Run Road. The victim turns out to be 19-year-old Stephen Smith, a shy teen, but a funny and outgoing one to his inner circle. Smith was openly gay in the small rural South Carolina town he grew up in. The blunt force trauma to his head appears as a possible gunshot wound to the first responders on the scene, but the coroner's office later rules his death a hit and run.
I'm also going to pause it here real quick as well. The hands, you know, if he's hit by a car, you would think that there would be abrasions, like however he landed. We're going to see like a diagram of what his body looked like in the road. I know you guys have seen it. It's out there. It just looks like he just collapsed in the middle of the road. It's literally, he's on the yellow line, you know, supposedly walking to get gas without his wallet. It's dark as heck out there. This is around early morning, they're stating, like 2 a.m-ish. He wasn't found until 4 a.m. So I just feel like even just looking at his hands here, you would think that there would be some sort of, you know, dirt, maybe even under his nails, or even just the gravel stuck on his like hand itself. Like here, it's just looking very much like Karen has said, collapsed or placed there, you know? So that was just something else I had noticed. And Broken Dishes says, do find it significant that shoes are still on feet when those with experience in car versus pedestrians say shoes will usually be knocked off. 100%. All the experts are agreeing with that. So that as much as this, I mean, the whole thing looks completely staged, even the car itself. Exactly. Where is the road rash? And he is 3 miles away from his car that's been abandoned with the gas cap open. Now, for those who have run out of gas before, do you unscrew the gas cap and then leave your vehicle with it open and walk to the gas station? Or do you get the gas, come back to your vehicle, and pop the gas cap open right then and there, like when you're ready to put the gas in? Like, I just find it strange, and I don't know, because I have AAA and I just wouldn't leave my vehicle. Especially knowing that like the nearest gas station for this scenario was so far away. Exactly. Get the gas first is what Skittles is saying. Yeah, and the wallet was in the front seat. You know, why wouldn't he take his wallet? It's just red flag. It's just complete red flag. They said that now people are, well, they stated, what we know is that they tried to start the vehicle at the scene and they couldn't start it. So that's what the lawyer was saying last night on Chris McDonough's channel. So, but at the same time, some people might leave the gas cap open. Yeah, why was his wallet left in the car? If someone had a gas tank to fill, my tank and it didn't fill it enough to start, I might forget to close the gas cap. That's true. Did someone siphon off the gas? And that's the thing, Cray 420, is like, I'm not really up to speed on how that happens. I don't know the year of his car, but I know it wasn't like a super old car. I don't know, like, is that even possible nowadays, like with vehicles? I don't know if that's a thing. And I feel stupid for even saying that, but I feel like I've heard before that like you just can't siphon gas out of vehicles nowadays. But again, I'm not an expert in that department. It would be nice to know for sure. Someone had been messing with his battery cables. Where did you hear that, Meg? Because I just want to... Blue paint chips were also found on his body. Yes, and that was found in the police notes and the autopsy paperwork that we've gone through. A lot of people are touching on that. They've stated that the blue paint chips didn't come back as a match to any vehicle out there. Now, again, it sounds very fishy. I don't know exactly what SLED is retesting or if they have stuff to retest, but it's just... people are also saying that it's possible that those blue metallic paint chips were from a bat, like a baseball bat. Again, these are just speculation and rumors. We do not know. So I just want to lay that out there because there's just a lot of stuff going around and we just don't know. Good morning, Lex Luthor. It's good to see you. The wallet in a car is a huge problem. Yeah. And for guys, I'm not sure where he carried his wallet. You know, some put it in their back pocket, but then some guys take it out of their back pocket as they sit. You know what I mean? So did he like take it out before he even got in or before he started driving or I don't know. Yeah, they're stating that some type of bat. I'm not sure. But a lot of people are stating that they think it's that. The mud on Stephen's shoes come from the river. Stephen went swimming that night. Pam, where did you hear that? And actually, while I'm at it, if anyone has any stuff that they have to add, I will definitely look into everything you guys have to say. Can you just link like links or videos or something that I can source so that like when we keep digging into this, I can kind of back it up. Chick Tracy says, was he intoxicated? As far as I know, there was no drugs and alcohol in his system. So let's keep going with these. Okay, thanks, Pam. And actually, I have a Facebook group. I don't know if you guys are on Facebook, but it's an easy and good place to share all of our discussions. And we actually talk about more cases in the Facebook group than here on YouTube. So, because there's just a lot to discuss nowadays, but it's called Open Discussions on All True Crime Cases. I believe it's linked in the description box. In case you guys have like a tip or something you want to discuss, just put it right in the group and we can all kind of look at it.
He also has injuries to his left arm and left hand.
Hampton County 911, where's your emergency?
So his shoulder was also dislocated. I just wanted to put that out there, but most of his injuries were to the head. The head was so severely misshapen, just completely caved in. You know, he was unrecognizable. That's why they had thought that it was a gunshot, because it was just so like, wow. But then it turned into blunt force trauma, and then it got switched to a vehicle hit him. And now it's back to, nope, actually it was homicide, and we thought it was homicide, and we didn't need you to exhume the body for us to say it was homicide. Like, what? Then why didn't you come out and say it? Like, this poor mother's been 8 years of her like thinking and going over in her own head, like, I don't think that it was a car that hit him. And then she gets money to exhume his body, and then SLED comes out saying like, well, we didn't need to exhume it to say that it was homicide. Then why haven't you come out in 8 years saying that? It's just very bizarre, strange timing. I don't know.
Hello, I just going down the Crocketville Road, and I see somebody laying out.
What road are you, what's the name of the highway that you're on?
I know it's Crocketville Road.
Just know it's Crocketville Road?
Yeah.
Hold on just a second. And which way are you headed?
Okay, you know the back way to go to, like you going to Horse Brunson?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay, you're on that road just before you get into Crocketville?
Turn Crocketville, make that right.
Okay. From Crocketville, take a right.
Wait, take a left. When you call 601, Bamberg.
Uh-huh. If I'm going toward Bamberg, I'm gonna take a left onto that road?
Yeah, like you're going to, I can get a road called 14. You can go to Sandy Run,
but you're not on Sandy Run Road?
I think it is. This Sandy Road goes straight on out.
Okay, all right. And is it in the road or on the side of the road?
You in the road.
Oh, in the road?
Yeah.
All right, so what's your name and call that number?
My name is Ronnie Capers.
Okay, all right, Mr. Capers, can I get a phone number for you?
Let's see, I don't know the number off this phone, but you can call this number back. I'm going to work.
Okay, but this is a good number to reach you back at?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. We'll get an officer headed out that way to see what's going on.
Okay, so you live in the road. I ain't moving or nothing like that, but somebody going to hit him. It's dark. Somebody going to hit him.
All right, we'll get an officer headed out that way.
Okay.
All right, sir.
Smith's car was found about 3 miles away on Bamberg Highway. It won't start, but investigators find his wallet inside. The gas cap also unscrewed. His family reports he would have never left the car, calling him skittish. And his twin sister, Stephanie, also tells authorities that her brother had become very secretive about 2 weeks prior to the incident.
According to police reports, 19-year-old Stephen Smith was found dead on a rural road, his shoes still on his feet.
Yes, I see. Cray asked, who parks like that? Now, when you run out of gas, you don't really get to choose where you're going to park, right? You just are like, oh, I guess I'll coast and get over to the side, you know, like you're not really in a position to be like, oh, here's a good turn off. I'm running out of gas. Let me just go over here. It seems very much like where his vehicle was parked is like a little area that like you can pull off. Like it had, hold on, let's rewind. There's his wallet. And again, I see in the Netflix, it was either on the Netflix one or one of the other documentaries that it stated, or that it showed his wallet like in a different position. So I've seen his wallet here on the seat, and then I swear I've seen it in another position in the car. You guys let me know as well in chat or replay. So I'm confused. Where was his wallet? On the seat here, or was it where I think it was like in between the door and the seat in another documentary? I might be remembering it wrong. You guys let me know. I'm going to try and get a picture of that anyways. So yeah, let's look at this car. It's just like put over there. I don't know. Just in another image, you can kind of see that the gravel, like it's like paved over, like it's like a little like check area, like you can pull over or whatever. People are saying they don't think he parked like that. Okay, so that's after it was checked. So when did they move the vehicle? Yeah, it was definitely foul play. I agree, Kimberly. I tried to pop in ASF's live stream to congratulate him last night, but I don't know. I think I might be blocked. I don't know. But I saw you in there and tried to say hi. All right, let's carry on. You can't buy gas without a wallet with money in it. So in my opinion, he wasn't out of gas. It's a lot. I want to know his bank statements. What was his bank activity? We've also heard rumors that he was, and it's just stated here, his twin sister had said that he had been very secretive the weeks leading up. There's rumors, I'm just going to say it, that he was on Craigslist as an escort / sex worker. Those are rumors. I have yet to see. And then again, I think maybe Stephen's mother has confirmed those rumors. I don't know. Did she confirm that he was a sex worker? Do we know that for sure? Because that's going to change the whole victimology of Stephen. Now, last night I've watched almost every single interview with the family's lawyers, and not once have the lawyers said that he was an escort. They just keep saying he was openly gay in the South, and while in larger cities in South Carolina, the gay community is more accepted. Where they are, like in Hampton County and those areas, it's not as accepted, is how they've explained it. So the twin sister, Stephanie, confirmed he was running ads. Okay. And that something was in the police notes about Craigslist, right? But I'm confused. Like, why are they not coming out stating that to everyone, like in the media reports? Is it because they're trying to keep some of the things kind of down low? And Brittany is saying the same thing, hasn't seen it confirmed yet. Okay, they have his Blackfoot. Okay, so where is this Black Book information? Yeah, I can't wait to find out the names too. And that's the thing, is his phone is going to have a lot of information on it. I believe that the family lawyer last night said that they have his phone. They're going to be looking into all that as soon as possible. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes. There's a lot of stuff that they haven't come out and told the public yet. So we're all just kind of sitting back and waiting for another statement. The only thing that they've come out saying is, yes, it's a homicide.
His abandoned car, the gas cap unscrewed, his wallet inside. At the time, the on-scene supervisor telling a detective it appeared to be a homicide. But the medical examiner ruled it a hit and run, a determination later challenged by investigators.
Yeah, BT26X says, I feel like it's something to do with that if he was murdered. And well, that's the thing, is it definitely changes the victimology. If those were the type of things that he was doing in his personal life, it definitely, for male or female, you're definitely in a very dangerous position running that job. The other thing is too, is the rumors saying that he was seeing a more predominant older male. These are rumors. Where is the connection? Where has it really led police? We still don't know. So while the Murdaugh's family lawyer has come out saying, like, if you accuse Buster of this stuff, you're risking defamatory charges or whatever. At the same time, it's like the police haven't come out clearing them either. So, and in fact, later in the stream, I have a phone call between Buster and Alex, and they discuss Stephen Smith. So I want us to just re-listen to that. And in that phone call, Alex asks about, well, have they come out saying that so-and-so said that there's no connection? Like, so apparently there's somebody who had told the Murdaughs that they didn't see a connection. And Alex refers to that conversation on the phone with Buster. So we'll listen to that, guys. So stay with me. We got a lot to still go through.
There's no marks from a vehicle, no skid marks in the roadway, nothing in the grass.
It's dark. There's not a lot of homes in between each of the homes. There's no landmarks. From Alex's place in Mizell, the nearest convenience store is 9 minutes. So, if you're stuck out there, if you have to walk out there, it's a lonely, scary place. And Stephen, with the lifestyle that he lived, was a very careful young man. You know, being gay in the Low Country in 2015 was not the most popular thing in the world. It took courage. And so he was very careful where he walked, where he traveled. So that's one of the things that is perplexing to, obviously, Sandy and us, is why would he leave his wallet in his car if it ran out of gas? Why wouldn't he have made some phone calls along the way on the walk? He would have called his twin sister, Stephanie, who is extremely, extremely close with her. He would have called her.
And so this is Eric Bland. He represented the Satterfield family during the lawsuit against the Murdaughs when Alex stole all that money. Gloria Satterfield is the housekeeper that died on the Moselle property. So he has gone from helping that family to assisting Stephen Smith's family in the legal process. He has come out saying that he's doing it for free at this moment, and he's just walking her through the process because they have to get a court order to exhume his body. He obviously has connections with his partner, two other experts that will look over this body. So it's going to be done independently outside of SLED. So SLED is the state-run law enforcement agency in South Carolina, for those who don't know that. And also, I just wanted to say as well that something about Eric. Give me a second.
Look, sis, come get me.
Oh, yes. So he stated in this little segment that, you know, the road that he was found on is very dark. Like, and you guys can see it, like, in those channels that I said that visited the area, there's no like street lights. It's just complete pitch black at night. And his phone and his keys were found in his pocket. So I state that because, you know, everyone keeps focusing on he would have called someone for help. He would have called his sister and his twin sister, you know, and they were so close. He would have cut through the woods, et cetera. But they're bypassing one major thing for me that makes me believe that he was not out walking on that road when this occurred, when he got this head wound. His phone was in his pocket. So if you're walking at night in the pitch dark, you know, anyone who has a smartphone knows that there's a flashlight on your phone, right? So, you know, you're walking at night, you're likely going to have your flashlight out, you know, there's, I'm sure, wild animals out there, wild boar, 100%. You know, he would have had his flashlight on, in my opinion. His phone would not have been in his back pocket like it was found. It would have been scattered out on the road because he would have got hit, like they're alleging. But to me, that is a huge red flag. And I have yet to hear anybody talk about the fact that, like, yes, his phone was found in his pocket, but if he's walking at night there's no way his phone's in his pocket. You know, he's using that flashlight, even if he's not calling his sister for help, because guess what? Sometimes your family or somebody that you know and love does something where you're just mind blown. You're like, why would they do that? Like, I never would have thought that they would have done that. So even if we say that, like, well, you know, sometimes you think that they're not doing something, but they are. So even if we say he was walking in the road, which I don't think he was, even if you're walking, why would he be in the middle of the road? Like, there's no abrasions from him falling, etc. You know, he would have had his phone out with that flashlight on, in my opinion. And as far as tracking the phone, Meg, the SLED is working on all that information, everything that they can gather behind the scenes right now. So they have his phone, they have the capabilities to do stuff with it. So it's just, you know, time will tell.
I'm out of gas. She would have said, stay there. He would have walked through the woods. There's a path that he would have taken that Sandy Smith said he would not have taken that route in the road. So there's just more questions than answers. And when you have more questions and you're a mother, you can imagine what that does to you over 8 years.
And they said he was shot in the head. And then it turned out it was a hit and run, and then he was beat up, and so the story just kept changing. I just couldn't believe it, but when they told me hit and run, I said that's impossible, because Stephen wouldn't have been walking in the road to start with. He would have cut through the woods. He would not have been in the highway.
She's a mother who wants answers. I mean, it's been 8 years of like paralysis. She knows that the odds are that Stephen did not die on Sandy Run Road, that he may have died somewhere else. If it was a hit and run, and it turns out to have been a hit and run, there is somebody that has knowledge of that, and there's a criminal who killed somebody and drove away, which is a crime in any state in this country.
So if it's a hit and run, which, like we've stated, there's no skid marks on the road. There's no, people said that the head wound might have come from a mirror on the side of a car. You know, that would have broken off. I mean, there's no evidence of anything coming in contact with Stephen's head, besides blue paint that might have been found on his clothing or something. Now, again, his shoulder is dislocated, and I'd seen somebody say they think that they chased him through the woods and cornered him or whatever. You know, did they grab his arm and he went to run real quick? I mean, his shoulder's dislocated, you know, some type of force took place for that to happen. And I don't think that it was from a car hitting him.
She just wants some answers so she can get peace. This is not about money. There's no threats of civil suits. The GoFundMe, which gave us the money to be able to afford this process, is 100% of these proceeds are going directly into the investigation and the exhumation. I'm giving my legal time for free in the exhumation process and supervising the investigation.
Documents show investigators fielding tips about the Murdaugh family in the days and months following his death.
So this is December of that year. This is months after his death. And it says, received an email in reference to an anonymous tip, states, and I'm just going to use the initials, DA, along with another black male and a white male, Murdaugh, are the ones involved in death. This tip is referring to Stephen Smith. So these are actual police notes. Again, what do we see? It's just hearsay. But they have to follow every lead. Another thing I wanted to make note of is we keep seeing in a lot of media reports that say he was found very close to the Murdaugh property, right? And I'm thinking this whole time, like, okay, wow, you know, that's significant. I even think one of the documentaries said it. Come to find out, it's 15 miles away from the Murdaugh property. Now, the other thing is people are saying that there's an alternative crime scene, that he was harmed or killed somewhere else and placed there. So then we would have to say, okay, so then they traveled 15 miles and dumped him there. I mean, that's entirely possible. And then put his vehicle there, you know, like what's going on with the logistics there? Because I just don't feel like 15 miles is that close. And I'm trying to look at this in an objective way while also stating right here on the screen that the Murdaugh's name have been mentioned. So we're going to keep things reality based. I just don't think that 15 miles is close, like they've tried to portray it in the media. But I'm also saying that it's interesting that tips are rolling in with the Murdaugh name attached to it. And hello, Titanium Built. It's good to have you here. And good morning, Riddler, and everyone else who has joined us.
The first tip comes in early August, suggesting swirling rumors of a relationship between Smith and Buster Murdaugh, Alec Murdaugh's eldest and now only surviving son. An investigator also fields a tip about another possible suspect, but that tipster tells them he passed along the information at the request of a well-known family patriarch, former solicitor Randy Murdaugh. Andrew says in the records she has the Murdaugh name is mentioned 40 times. Eventually, the leads dried up and the case went cold.
Police recordings also show the Murdaugh family name came up multiple times in interviews from 2015, including with Stephen's mother.
So here's the other thing too, and I know that Netflix said it something different. Now this says multiple times in police reports. I've also seen a source that said 40 times in police notes. I've also seen another source say half a dozen times. So what is it? How many times have they been mentioned? Because everything is just all over the place and I can't find an actual number. And I know that some of my moderators know that I've even asked them, like, do you know the actual number? People who have followed the Murdaugh stuff for a long time, for years I've asked, and they don't have an actual number. So please comment below or whatever if you guys have like the actual number of how many times the Murdaugh family was used, because the media is all over the place with it.
The rumors that's going around Hampton that everybody keeps coming up to me and saying it was Murdaugh boys.
The Murdaugh boys?
Yes, whoever they are.
Other individuals also mentioned the name Murdaugh during taped interviews.
So this is where I'm confused too, is she stated that Randy Murdaugh, approached her the night of, or, he was on scene, which he hasn't denied, and that he called her and said, and offered free services for legal help. And so here, when she's talking to the police, and that was a recorded police call regarding the case, and there's more in these clips too, she says whoever that is, the Murdaugh boys, whoever that is. Now, does she mean that she doesn't know them, or is she saying like it's kind of vague? Because Murdaugh boys could be which generation of Murdaugh boys, Alex and his brothers, or Murdaugh as in Paul and Buster. At this time, I believe Paul is only 16-ish, but at the same time, we know that, he'd been drinking and doing stuff like that, even in his teens. So it's all just very interesting.
And who was that?
Buster Murdaugh.
Okay. And I'll be honest with you, Buster Murdaugh's been on our radar long before this.
Now, that was also a police interview where they were name dropping Murdaugh, and he says, I'll be honest with you, he's been on our radar for, even before this. But why? For what? What could Buster have been doing before 2015? So here are more police notes in regards to Stephen Smith. It says, contacted Angela Carroll in reference to Stephen Smith's death. Information from Stephanie Smith states a boy named Brandon asked if Stephen and Buster Murdaugh ever had any type of relationship. So it says an investigation log note from August 2015 shows one investigator informing another of a tip questioning whether Stephen and Buster Murdaugh ever had any type of relationship. So that tip comes in, a month after the murders. So this stuff had been the hearsay had started, pretty quick. Next one, received so wait, I think we already read that. Yeah, that was the tip that we had read before. But it says another note shows investigators received an anonymous tip months later stating DA along with another black male and a white male, Murdaugh, are the ones involved. So it was coming, this stuff was coming in very quickly. And any word on the R kit. So they asked last night on the interview room, the lawyer representing them alongside of Eric Bland. What's his name? Richie? I forget his name. Sorry. Let me know in chat. He pretty much says that they know that they conducted an R kit, but they have no idea the results on it. So I've seen rumors that people have said, oh, they lost it, they misplaced it. I haven't seen a lawyer come out saying that. So what they're coming out saying is they know that it was conducted, but as far as after that, they don't know if SLED's kind of keeping that to themselves or what's going on. Ronnie Richard, thank you so much, Rambling Rome. You guys are awesome. So yeah, that is what we know as far as the R kit. So it's pretty much we don't know anything, but we know that it was conducted. And if this was a car that hit him, why would that have been conducted? It's a huge red flag. Yeah, exactly. We all want to know what happened to it after, beyond being done, transferred, and then not mentioned of. But there must have been some sort of reason for them to have done that, and that's either some evidence that led them to that, or it's just the fact that he was on Craigslist as a sex worker, and maybe they felt like, okay, so let's do that, so which is it? Or maybe it's both, Yeah, people are speculating Alex paid someone to lose it. Another thing that I find very interesting too is, the conflict between the medical examiner and law enforcement is just bizarre. To the point like, have you guys ever seen anything in any other case where it came out saying the law enforcement notes in this Stephen Smith case state that they had felt the medical examiner was being hostile, like with them insisting like, no, this wasn't a homicide, this was this. Hostile is a very extreme word to put in law enforcement notes, I believe, especially in reference to a medical examiner. Like, why would there have been that much conflict on the results there? So it's crazy. And continuing on,
as far as Randy Murdaugh involvement, my understanding from a number of sources, and I know Sandy has said this on TV, so I'm not revealing the attorney-client privilege. She said that he had called her husband Joel on the phone and offered his services, and maybe had shown up at the accident scene, and then called Sandy later on in the following morning, and offered his services to represent. I believe there was some Little League or youth baseball connection.
Yeah. Why? Of course, I paused myself, looking so awkward. Anyways, that's the whole thing. Why would they do an R kit on a hit and run? And Riddler, thank you for that. The examination was reportedly ordered within 13 hours of the discovery of Smith's remains. Now, how long does it take for DNA to come back, guys? And now we're talking, let's travel back to 2015. And yes, technology advances that much that we kind of have to think like, okay, maybe it would have taken maybe longer then. I don't know. But keep in mind, they reopened Stephen's case 15 days after Paul and Maggie were murdered. So did DNA come back? Was there, is it forensic information that came back for them to reopen Stephen Smith's case? Or is it, DNA or something that came back after the R kit was conducted? Good morning, CDT. Glad you're here. Exactly did they reopen Stephen Smith's case just 15 days after Paul and Maggie were killed? Did they find forensic data on a phone, on a laptop? Was there DNA that came back that they finally got a match to?
What is the evidence? Was it phone evidence that they found during the investigation of the Murdaugh murders? Was there something on someone's phone that they did it? We don't know that instigating cause for them to reopen the investigation, and we don't know what the grand jury has done. We know that they are no longer impaneled, so we don't even know what they've done over the previous 2 years.
So what was he referring to there? I'm sorry, guys. I had no idea that there was like a grand jury behind the scenes. Like, what is he referring to there? Does anyone know?
I can't advise him on what he should have done. At this point, I don't know that there's any connection with Buster Murdaugh. And so at this point, Buster's trying to grieve the loss of his mother and his brother, and I guess come to grips with the fact that his father's a heinous murderer that's going to be serving double life without parole. I don't have any knowledge of any connection between Buster and Stephen Smith. My job is to get this body exhumed, hire people that can tell me what happened, and then if there is that secondary accident incident scene, as Chris talked about, then facts will take care of themselves and the matter will progress. And I'll put it in law enforcement's hands. I want to work with law enforcement. I want to give them everything we got, that we obtain. I don't expect that they're going to share with what they have. And if we have enough information that they should go forward, the facts are going to go where they go. I'm not going to sit here, though, and impugn Buster Murdaugh without any evidence. I don't have it.
There were so many rumors swirling around that Buster and Stephen were intimate together. Being gay in the Murdaugh family would have been looked down upon.
Is there any truth to these rumors? What we can do is go back and listen to some jail phone calls between Buster and Alex when they mentioned Stephen Smith.
What was on TV Friday, Bus? I saw John Marvin on there for just a second.
And for those who are just joining us now, I've decided to play the 2021 phone calls between Buster and Alex when only Stephen Smith is mentioned. So that's what the last few minutes of these clips are going to be. And I'm thinking that we can maybe watch a little bit of Stephen's mother's interview with Court TV that aired, and maybe we can get some answers through that while we close out for the day. So I still want to talk and chat, guys, so stay with me. It's just, this is the last bit of the clips that I've edited together with you guys. I saw you guys speculating, did they find something on Paul's phone? Did they find something on Maggie's phone? There's also a laptop that was confiscated. Was there pictures on somebody's phone? We just don't know. But the timing of reopening that case is just very coincidental that it was only 15 days. Now, what exactly did they start doing as far as evidence? Did they find a baseball bat on the Moselle property? It's just a lot of questions, but we just have to sit back and wait for SLED to give us something. And they haven't given us really anything until Stephen's mother pretty much said, I'm going to do an independent autopsy and get my son's body exhumed. And then all of a sudden they came out saying like, oh no, we know it's not a homicide. It's just, I don't know, guys. So yes, this is just the times that they had mentioned Stephen Smith while he was in jail at this moment. This is before the trial.
Dad, it was something ABC 2020. I didn't watch it. Well, was it a new interview or was it from that old interview? I would assume if it had him on TV, it had to be the old one. He has not gone on TV since. He hasn't. Cared for. All right. Well, was it the same old stuff with a bunch of innuendo and false stuff, or were they being semi-truthful? Dad, I'd love to be able to give you some insight, but I didn't watch it and I didn't seek out anything, any transcripts from it. I don't know. I know it ain't no big deal. I would assume it's.
And see how Alex is like really inquiring, like, what was that special? And again, this is years ago, 2021. He somehow in jail had seen John Marvin flash up on the TV that some special was going to be on. And so he's asking Buster, what did that entail? Buster's acting like he didn't see it, but Brooklyn watched it and filled him in. When they start talking about Stephen, I can't, he'll mention Gloria and then kind of like slips in the questions about Stephen. Now, it could just be me, focusing in too much on it. So that's why I want to play it with you guys. I see people already saying they sound nervous. Karen said, why are they even talking about it? I mean, that's what I was sort of thinking too, Karen. I mean, you're in jail. You only get so much time to speak, 15 minutes, I believe, to speak with your loved ones or whoever you want to talk to. And they're choosing to kind of be like, what rumors are they saying on that special in regards to Gloria and Stephen Smith? The same BS. And it's like they're trying to act like, oh, no, I didn't watch it. Buster is and all this stuff. But it's like, I really think that they were kind of inquiring about it. People are saying he sounds nervous. Let's just, again, I want to stay open-minded, but I did kind of pick up on there will be parts. And again, keep in mind, Gloria's family, Gloria Satterfield, when they were represented by Eric Bland, they looked into things too, and they've come out saying that they don't think that their mother was killed at Moselle, like in a homicide. She died as an accidental death down the stairs, and the family is happy with those conclusions. So if we're going to listen to this interview or this conversation and think that Gloria's really was an accidental death, because again, Netflix and other places have put it out there that it's conspiracy and that there might be murder. Well, the family and their lawyer have come out saying like, no, we don't think that it was murder. So now if we think that that wasn't murder, this conversation's kind of interesting to me to kind of think about it as like they know that they had nothing to do with Gloria's, but then you hear Alex kind of slip in like in Stephen Smith, and it's just seemed like he really wants to ask more about Stephen Smith, but he's kind of using Gloria's rumor as like a buffer in between that, if you guys understand what I'm saying. Meg says he's a master manipulator. He knows how to word things to sound concerned when he's really a snake. Exactly. I'm glad you're on the same page as me.
I don't know. I know it ain't no big deal. I would assume it's the same old thing. Brooklyn told me some stuff that was on it, and it was stuff that's wrong. So, I mean, it's just that same old
Stephen Smith and Gloria and all that bullshit.
You know, I think it probably had to touch on that. I think this one hit maybe a little bit more on the boat wreck.
I got you.
I just know that there was some stuff that Brooklyn said that was said in the little show, and it's just stuff that's not important, but it just shows that if they are willing to state that in fact, that they just don't know what they're saying, because it's just stuff that's not true.
I understand. So are they still trying to say out there like there's some mystery surrounding Gloria's death, about how she died?
Saying what now?
About how she died? Are they still trying to make some innuendo there?
About Gloria?
Yeah.
And isn't it interesting how Buster even has to ask his father, like, which one are you saying that they are saying you're involved in? He's like, which one? Gloria?
I don't know.
Are they still saying anything about Stephen Smith, even though Andy said?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think
there's
anybody.
No connection to.
See, he goes to say, are they still saying that about Stephen Smith, even though Andy Savage says that there's no connection? And while he's saying that, Buster's kind of talking over him. So I find that interesting too. But again, people talk over each other all the time. I don't know. I just find this call interesting, knowing everything we know now. I just don't get why Alex is so interested in like this type of stuff going on at the moment. Like, he's facing all these financial crimes at this moment. He got denied bail. I don't know if that got denied just at this exact date, but there's stuff that he should be focused on and worried about, finding the murderers to Paul and Maggie, but instead he's like choosing to spend this time asking Buster about the rumors being spread about him and what TV special they're saying. Just seems like maybe he's more interested in what they know for other reasons.
Yeah, I don't think anybody took the heart of
Did
Andy
ever come
Savage.
out and say there's no connection?
No,
Even though
they
they told Andy Savage that?
No, Sled has not released anything. They didn't even release a statement about what was this most recent thing. There was something came out not long ago talking about how there's been like a breakthrough in evidence to do with like the homicides, and Sled wouldn't even come out and issue a statement saying that there has been no further evidence like gathered.
10-4.
So personally, I would not count on Sled to help in any way.
I was just curious. All right, my man. You get some rest. Yeah, I told y'all that was coming.
Yeah, man. This Eric dude.
That I said that was coming?
No, I just saw it on Twitter.
No, I called John Marvin the other day to tell him he needed to do it as quickly as possible because they were going to be doing it any day, making a motion.
So this Eric Bland guy seems like a real charm.
Well, this is his 5 minutes in the sun,
Yeah.
All right, let me play a little bit of this interview with Court TV and Stephen's mother. It's from last week, but I figured we could close out with my notes and this interview. So give me 1 second. Hit the thumbs up if you haven't done so. Thank you all for being here. I really just want some answers in this case, but it just seems as though law enforcement's being very tight-lipped. Again, the legal help that the family is receiving is they're working alongside with law enforcement. So, they've stated themselves, like, unless law enforcement shares information with them, they're just going to sit back and work alongside them and wait for law enforcement to come to them with stuff, and they'll go with stuff that they can share at least. And they'll go to law enforcement with tips and stuff that are going to come in if there are any, and if anyone knows any information regarding Stephen Smith's case, you can definitely contact the legal team. And I believe Crime Stoppers also has, 1-888-CRIME-SC for South Carolina. So if you have any information or tips, you can call that number. And so this was done last week after they announced for sure 100% that it was a homicide. So we'll just listen to a little bit of this. I will read through my notes right now. So the scene was immediately treated like a homicide. And then it got switched to, no, this was a hit and run. So thinking about how the scene was processed, you know, it seems as though it was processed by SLED as a homicide right off the bat. And then remember, they have that whole, like, I don't know, there's some jurisdictional, like, issue 2 going on here. You guys probably know about that. But I don't know, there's just a lot of layers going on and a lot of confusion going on, even in the investigative aspect, like agencies, because not only was SLED involved, but the South Carolina Highway Patrol or something was also involved. But his hands were bagged for sure with paper bags, so we know that for sure. His clothes were analyzed for trace evidence. I believe the lawyer said last night that SLED still has their clothing. Every testing is done on his body for DNA evidence, you know, and we spoke about the R kit that was used. Blue paint particles on his clothes were secured, according to my notes. Now, the lawyer, I believe, was asked about that, or Eric Bland was asked, and they pretty much have come out saying, like, well, they don't know exact details on this stuff, but they're hoping that things were processed accordingly and saved securely. But especially since SLED has come out saying, like, we didn't need you guys to exhume it to say it was a homicide. So then it makes us think, like, okay, so you have everything you need then. Multiple interviews were done, and we know that, you know, we've seen some police notes on this stuff too, and we'll go through that more in other live streams. There's still a lot more I want to cover with this. So officers did check the vehicles in the area. Officers tracked down every individual that was named in the notes. But then at the same time, we hear that Buster was never interviewed. So I don't know. Let me see what else I have in my notes. So yeah, he had no type of abrasions that would be consistent with a road accident. I mean, we've seen the clothing, we've seen his hands. I've seen images of his legs and stuff too. And yeah, there's nothing. So yeah, they did find the paint particles on Stephen. So there are other people who are in Stephen's circle, as apparently he had a boyfriend. So I don't know. Does anyone know if that boyfriend who, and again, people are looking into this, I know allegedly with Brittany J is and other channels, have you guys seen, and I've read some of the boyfriend's posts like centered around this time, people have said that it seems like he was manic or something. I don't know. Even before the murder happened, it seemed like his posts portrayed some sort of, I don't know, guys. It was just very rambly. But I know that people are looking into the boyfriend as well. But I'm asking, did they ever interview him? Does anyone know?
That's good to hear, Sandy. Before I hear any response from you to this statement released by Buster Murdaugh, there are a lot of people who may not know the story. A lot of people may not know your son. So let's begin there. If you could start and introduce your son, Stephen, to folks watching tonight, to people listening to the show, and to me. Tell me about your son, Stephen.
We called Stephen my miracle baby. He was born 2 pounds, 12 ounces. He survived when they said he only had like a 45% chance of life. He also survived a drowning accident, and he wanted to be something in his life.
Tell me a little bit more about that. What was it that he wanted to do, that he wanted to be?
He always broke
others.
Oh, he did. He saved animals that was hitting the road. He was always bringing home a hit dog, a cat, and he nursed them all back to health.
So what was going on in Stephen's life around the time that he was killed?
Hello, Jen Lu. Thank you for being here. I was talking about you earlier and giving your channel a shout out. Jen Lu says, I believe they did interview him, but Sandy and Stephanie, which is Stephen's twin sister, said he was not his boyfriend. So I feel like there was some sort of drama in between the alleged boyfriend and the family, now that I'm remembering some of my notes. And he went off on them or something like that on Facebook, like after everything. But that's good to know that he was interviewed. Now, my other thing is, I don't know if you were hearing me question, what at this point is Buster going to be interviewed just to have it on record? Or do you think that his lawyer would be like, no, you can speak to me, like what's going on as far as the notes that are referencing Buster? And again, Jen, do you have an exact number? Because we were saying earlier that we've heard the media state 40 times, half a dozen times, etc. Like how many times was the Murdaugh family mentioned in the notes and interviews? And if anyone knows, let me know.
What was happening? I've raised children as well. You raise them, and certain times of their life, certain things are at the kind of the forefront of what's going on in their world. What was going on in Stephen's world?
Well, he was basically, going to school, and then he'd drop by and want something to eat, but then he'd tell me a little bit, but he would never say any names. He told me that the last week that I saw him, the last weekend, which was the weekend before he died, he said he had a fishing trip planned for the following weekend, or roundabout, to Key West. He was going on a fishing boat, and he was so excited. And I said, wow, who are you going with? And he said, it's an important person. But he never said a name, and he had a new phone. And I said, oh, where'd that phone come from? And he said, a friend got it for me. But he never said names, but he was very secretive, in the last few months of his life.
Why do you think he was? Why do you think he wasn't sharing everything that was going on?
I think, he just wanted his personal life to be his personal life. And he knew he never really had to answer to us for who he was. Because he always said, I am who I am.
And tell us a little bit more. What I am who I am. What did he mean by that?
He had this little card that he toted in his pocket, and it said, I am who I am. God made me, and God don't make mistakes.
That's awesome. That's pretty awesome.
Yes, he was awesome.
Let's focus in on that day. What did you talk to him that day at all? Did you talk to anyone who did interact with him that day?
He had school that day, so he was in Orangeburg, and his twin sister Stephanie told me that he had came home and he got a shower, and then he said he would be back later, and he never came back.
All right. So where is he going to school? Where's he living, and who's he living with?
All right. During school days, he would stay at his father's house on Joe Miley Road.
Okay.
And on weekends, he would stay in Barnwell with me.
Gotcha. So he said he was going. Who did he tell he was going out, and about what time? Do we have times? Do you have any sort of timeline?
Said, I'll be back. So he left around 5.
And he owned a car?
He did.
And was that the car that he took that day?
It is. Yeah, that yellow, I call it the yellow banana.
So my understanding is that the car ends up on the side of the road, and reports are that it was out of fuel. Does that make sense to you?
No, because if he was out of fuel, he would have immediately got out of the car, went in the woods, and called his sister. Because he didn't like strangers, I guess you would call it. He didn't want anybody stopping. So he would hide in the woods, and then he would call his sister, hey, my car's on the side of the road, tell where he's at. And they would go and they'd see the car, and then they'd call him and say, well, where are you at? He said, well, you just passed me. And so they'd come back and say, well, where are you? And then he would walk out of the woods.
So did anyone that you've spoken to, or know about talk to him after the car is on the side of the road?
I do not know. And I know the first call would have been to his sister because she lived right down the road with him on the Joe Miley Road, about 3 miles from where his body was found. And so he would have called her to come get him.
And even if he wouldn't have called or even if he didn't call his sister to come get him, his car was 3 miles away from where his body was found. So we're supposed to assume that he walked 3 miles and didn't think to like text anybody and say like, hey, I ran out of gas. I'm walking to the gas station. Like I would have texted, you know what I mean? And like we said, his phone was found in his back pocket. He's walking in the dark, not even using the flashlight on his phone. It's just not adding up. So while the mother keeps saying he would have done this, he would have done that, it's like I take everything she says in, and I'm also putting my own thing on it too and thinking like, well, it just doesn't sound logical anyways. Like even if it wasn't, like they say, like he would have called someone, like, well, sometimes people don't do what you think that they would have done. But with all that aside, you still are like, yeah, this just really doesn't make sense. It's just completely staged. Like I haven't seen a death scene this staged since Kurt Cobain's scene. So for those who have followed me since the Kurt investigation that we did here, there's just a lot of red flags even around this, like including, his wallet being way back at the car as well. Just it's not making sense. His phone is in his pocket, his keys are in his pocket, but the wallet is in the car. It makes me think that he left, it's possible he left his wallet in his car earlier in the day, like at night or whatever, wherever he went to. Because like I said, sometimes guys take their wallets out of their back pocket when they're in their car so that, they're not sitting on it. Say he went somewhere, did that, left the wallet in the car, and then something ends up taking place and he's not, and then the car is placed there later. You know what I mean? It's just completely like a staged scenario. And hello, Pink Dahlia. It's good to see you.
Which he's done several times.
Which he's actually done in the past if he's gotten stuck somewhere.
Right.
It makes sense. They're twins. I mean, there's a special bond and relationship between twins. So we don't know what happened, right? That's the whole problem here.
Right.
When did you find out that that something had happened? Where were you and who contacted you?
No one contacted me. I was in my car, and we have this radio station here that does a chit chat show, and everybody listens to it. And so I was headed to work, and I heard on that radio station that they said somebody had threw a body out on Sandy Run and Joe Miley. So the first thing I do is call Stephanie to make sure they're okay. And she said, well, I don't know what's going on down there. And I said, well, I heard it was a body. And then she said, Mom, did Steven spend the night with you last night? And I said, no, because he has school, the next day. And when she said he didn't come home that night, I felt it in my heart. My stomach just dropped.
Meg says he had to have trusted whoever it was. And that was sort of what they were saying on the interview room last night, that, a lot of times, and everyone knows this who follows true crime, it's somebody that who ends up murdering you, sadly. Of course, there are random acts of violence, but it's just statistically. So he trusted whoever he knew. And at that, let's say that he did purposely leave his phone in his car, he purposely left his wallet in his car with whoever he trusted and was meeting up with, so whatever they were doing, he didn't need to buy anything, right? Unless he just forgot it there. So take out everything that they're telling us, like, yes, he ran out of gas and then he left his wallet in the car. Take all that out. Let's say wherever he was going to that night, and remember the bottom of his shoes, super muddy. Was he outdoors? Was he at a bonfire? I'm sure that they would have smelled smoke on his clothes. But again, we don't have all the notes that law enforcement has. We have some, but there's a lot that we don't know that they know. So wherever he was going, he might not have needed his wallet. So when we're talking about this predominant person that he was seeing, you know, it just makes me wonder, you know, did whoever he was seeing threaten him? Like, if you tell anybody about us, I'm going to kill you. And then did something happen where like he did confide in somebody and tell somebody who it was, you know? Because like anyone who's had like secret stuff like going on in their personal life, like his sister said, he was being super secretive. Well, they're twins also. Like, was there a point where the sister said like, just, and again, I don't know, I'm just speculating, and this isn't what I really think happened 100%, but I'm just wondering, like, was there a friend or somebody who said, you know, I promise I won't tell anyone, and then somebody found out that it was found out, you know? We have more information than we did a month ago. Yeah, that's true. That fishing trip, Karen said, And I'd love to know, like, was there really a fishing trip with somebody? Because that wouldn't be too hard to find out, like, in regards to his phone. And I've seen Glenjamin mention that the autopsy that they're going to do and phone tracking is going to be key in this. And I agree. Who went on a fishing trip? There's got to be some sort of trail of that, or maybe that was a made up thing, like a lie that they had fed to Stephen, like, I'll take you fishing, you know, as sort of like a lure or like insight in, I don't know.
So the night that he is found, are you at the scene? Are you there with investigators? Did anyone call up family members? Were they there? Who shows up at the scene?
Nobody called family members. I had a best friend on the sheriff's department, and I called him and I said, please tell me that's not my son you're looking at. And he said, well, no, Stephen, he should be in school. And I said, well, he didn't come home last night. And he said, let me call you back. I'll put out an APB. And right then I knew that it was Stephen. But how we actually found out was,
I've been looking for a product like this my whole life. We were all.
his father was at work, and he got a call to go to the sheriff's department.
So law enforcement did contact his father, and then
they contacted his father's job.
Gotcha.
DOT, and asked him to come to the sheriff. They needed him at the sheriff's department, but by then we already figured it out.
So that night, who was there? Are there any Murdaughs at the scene where Stephen's body is found that night?
Yeah. When they removed his body from the road, and that was about 9:30. I seen me and my daughter and my son Chris seen Alex and Randy Murdaugh at the scene. And as we were on our way to the funeral home to make arrangements. And that's when Randy Murdaugh called and said, was that you that just passed by? And I said, yeah, we just passed by. And he said, well, I wish you would have stopped so I could have met you.
How did he have your phone number? Any idea?
Joel. Yeah. Because when he called Joel the day of Stephen's murder, when they were at when Joel was at the sheriff's department, him and Stephanie were at the sheriff's department, I was on the phone with Joel, and Joel said, hold on, Randy Murdaugh's calling. And so he said, that was strange. And I said, what was it? He said, Randy Murdaugh called and wants to help with Stephen's investigation.
And I'd like to add something that I discovered this week, which I'm sure maybe you guys have as well. If you're in this Facebook group, there is a Murdaugh murder Facebook group, and it's on Facebook. I can't remember the exact name, but it's a group that has 34,000 people in it. And it's been going on for a while. And I joined it during the trial, of course, to talk about the case. And I seen, I think a couple days ago, Randy's wife joined the group, and people were calling her out. Like in the group, they were like, I can't remember her name, but so-and-so just joined the group. and like tagged her, and people were welcoming her. People were sending her and the family condolences for Paul and Maggie. It was just very nice. And then there were, I just thought to myself, like, what a strange time to join the Facebook group, because that had been going on before the trial, and they were talking about the trial the whole time. Like, you would think that if somebody was going to join a group, if they just wanted to know what was being said, like they would have joined like a while ago so that they could follow like what's everyone's view on the trial, etc. But instead, she joins the group after Stephen Smith's body said that it was going to be exhumed, and Buster came out denying any involvement, etc. Like, apparently, what's the name of the group, Meg? I will look that up while I play the rest of this clip so that you guys can join it. I believe it's a public group too, so it won't be hard to find.
And I'm like, what investigation? Well, at that time they changed it so many times, but at that time we didn't know exactly what happened. Because after Joel got off the phone and got back on the phone with me, T.C. Smalls walked out and said, I'm sorry to tell you, but that was your son, and he's been shot.
Whoa.
Yes.
Okay. So let me ask you this. Before that night, had you ever had interaction with anyone from the Murdaugh family? Number one. Had Stephen ever mentioned anything about any Murdaughs?
No. I really didn't know them. I know when Stephen was in recreational baseball, Alex and Mr. Randolph were the coaches. And I never met Randy, John. I never met anybody else from the Murdaugh family. But I mean, I've seen Buster at some school functions and stuff when we had to go to school. And at Stephen and Stephanie's graduation, he graduated with them. So, but I only knew Mr. Randolph from, I was a manager at Exxon, and he would come in and buy a pack of cigarettes every day.
Gotcha. It's such a small community, so everyone kind of knows each other, but not really a big part of your life. All right, Sandy, Sandy's going to stay with us the whole hour, and really.
We're not going to watch the whole hour. You guys can check it out here, but the group is called The Facebook group is called Murdaugh Murder Trial Discussion, and it's a public group. That's why I'm putting the name out there, because they're obviously not trying to be private like some groups are. It has 39,000 members in it. And it says right here, a couple days ago, Christy Murdaugh is a member of this group, y'all, with all these laughing emojis. And people were like, well, I'm not sure why you're laughing. She's allowed to, let her be. But it's like, interesting timing, isn't it? Or is it just me? Because the group itself is called Murdaugh Murder Trial Discussion. The trial's over. So I just find it interesting that somebody in Randy's household decides to join that group like now. I don't know. Guys, I think that's where I want to end it for now. We will be digging into this case further. I just like to keep my live streams kind of under 2 hours. And I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts? Do you think it's strange timing for her to join? It apparently is a legit account because people did look into it. So I don't know if she wants like capability to comment or whatever. Or... Not sure, guys, but you should check it out. Yeah, Sarah says it's all strange. If it's public, why join? I don't know. Maybe sometimes like you still need to join in order to like comment and stuff. So I don't know if maybe the groups that I run are always private. So I'm not sure like what the difference is, but I'm not even sure if she's still in it. Let me check right now. But as soon as she joined, people definitely called her out on it. Yep. It's her real profile, guys. She joined on the 24th. Sarah Adams says surveillance. Yeah, because even though it's public, you would have to look it up every single day if you wanted to know what was going on. Whereas if you join it, it comes up in your algorithm and you can see like what's popping up, etc. So I don't know. People are saying probably feeding Randy and Alex info on what we know. It's just interesting timing. Thank you, Pizza Chemist. Appreciate you so much. But anywho, we'll be following this. I don't know when we'll get updates, but like I said, I have the autopsy and the police notes that they've been able to release to the public that I can comb through. And I'll just pull out things that I find interesting. There is a lot more that I want to share too. So yeah, she wants to know the gossip. All right, guys, we'll talk very soon. Hit the thumbs up. You guys enjoy your week that's coming up, and check back to the community page and the Facebook group. Everything's linked in the description box, and I'll post when I'm going to go live and stuff again. I try to do it on Monday and Fridays. Sometimes it's just Mondays. So we'll see what I gather together to discuss. Okay, guys? So hopefully we can get some answers and justice for Stephen Smith and his family. You know, things are in motion. The lawyer spoke last night saying that everyone's gotten the justice as far as, you know, Mallory Beach is in the progress of the family getting justice there, and the Satterfield boys got their justice, and Paul and Maggie, you know, they got their justice. So now it's time for Stephen Smith's family. So we will be following it. You guys, have a great week. Like I said, sorry, I'm just reading chat too, and everyone's just being very kind and wishing everyone a good week, and see you guys later.